Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. So today Tracy and I are pretty much over peopling. We've been busy working on homesteading stuff, but we're actually pretty tapped out energetically in terms of dealing with people. But I thought I would give you guys a brief update of how things went yesterday. So yesterday we actually did 2 markets, which is the first time that we've ever done 2 markets in one day before, and it was really stinking intense. It wouldn't have been that bad if it was like a divide and conquer type of 2 markets, but it was 2 markets back to back. So that made it quite intense. So our first market it ended at 1, and then our second market started at 2. And they were about 15-20 minutes apart from each other. So as soon as we hurry up and packed up at warp speed, we had to pretty much just race over to the next market so we could get set up and move the car and get everything in position before the next market started, which was all in itself was exhausting just to do. We're normally pretty tapped out after doing just one market because both of us are pretty introverted to begin with, and then just interacting with so many people and just trying to draw people in to listen to us and all that sort of thing. It's pretty tiring. It's kind of like going around and walking around the mall for 3 hours and stuff. That's kind of how tiring it is. If you're an extrovert and you enjoy doing that sort of a thing, you obviously can't relate. But if you're an introvert at all, you understand that that's kind of taxing to deal with so many people and to be around so many people. But so yeah, yesterday was pretty tiring. We did fairly well at both markets, so we were very pleased and stuff with how well we did, especially with it being late September, because the normal market season is really dwindling down and stuff. We're making only a fraction of what we made in the early summer. So it was nice to have the extra market to then basically make 2 Saturdays worth of money in one day. But we're pretty tapped out. But on Friday, 2 of our friends actually got a hold of us to see, because they knew somebody through the grapevine that was actually looking to get rid of some roosters, to rehome some roosters. Not they didn't care what happened to them, that sort of a thing. And so they just wanted rid of 2 roosters. So we're like, oh yeah, absolutely, we'll take them and stuff. Our freezer loves roosters and stuff. But so then on Saturday, they got a hold of us and said, hey, the lady actually has 2 more roosters. Are you guys able to take them? And we're like, yeah, we got room. We can make them fit and stuff. And so they're like, okay, great, fantastic. Well, then today they dropped off the next 2 set of roosters, and they said, hey, that lady said if you got a cage, there's just 2 more roosters for you guys and stuff. So we gave them a cage, and here in a couple of days we'll get 2 more roosters. So today, we'd already set up our plans before setting up to do 2 markets in a row to today go to a friend's house, and it was actually a former co-workers of Tracy's, to go pick up some pears and stuff. She has 2 pear trees, and there's far more pears than she has any desire to use and stuff. So she's like, if you guys want to pick them and do what you want with them, you're more than welcome to them, but you just got to come pick them yourselves. So we had already made plans to go and do that today before we had signed up to do 2 markets yesterday. So being women of our word, we kept our word, and we went and showed up to that former co-workers and friends of Tracy's to go pick pears. While we were there, she was showing us something along her wood line, and I don't know if she stepped on it or if the dog stepped on it or what, but somebody stepped on a yellow jacket's nest, and the wasps started attacking. So we all kind of took off, trotting away from there and just trying to get the rest of the pears, because we were almost done picking pears to begin with and stuff. We were like, okay, this is kind of the max that we want to do. And then the issue with the yellow jackets happened. So the dog first took off, and the dog got stung. She has a big dog, it's not a little dog and stuff. But so the dog took off, and we're like, why is the dog running away? This is kind of weird and stuff. And then next thing you know, the yellow jackets then were beaming at her head, and she was like, oh shit, there's bees. And so then we all kind of took off and got about 50 feet away from the bees or so, and was looking. And I was like, oh man, those ain't good. And Tracy's like, yeah, those are ground bees. We should probably hurry up and hightail it out of here. And then next thing you know, her former coworker got stung on the knuckle by one of the yellow jackets. And then Tracy got stung on the forearm by one of the yellow jackets. And I was much further away because I was like, I just recently got stung by a yellow jacket whenever we moved the one rabbit tractor, probably about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I'm like, it's still like scarred and partially swollen. Like, I know what this is like. Like, I don't want any part in this at all. So I started walking away, tried to get it further away from it, and a yellow jacket stung me. I don't know if the camera will be able to detect it. It's right in the webbing of my thumb area right there. But it swelled up pretty bad. Um, and it actually made me feel almost like I was buzzed, like I had like drank too much or whatever, like driving home from her house. I was like, man, I do not cognitively like feel right and stuff. Like it, and like breathing wise, it also felt almost like when there was all the wildfire smoke and stuff in this area. Like that's kind of like how it felt to breathe. And I was like, I don't think this is quite okay and stuff, because there's quite a bit of like venom or whatever it is that the bees put into their stings and stuff, like going through my body. So that was a fun adventure. But yeah, so the life of homesteading definitely still continues on, because I actually came up in the woods to take a break from helping Tracy butcher the roosters that we were given. So it's kind of crazy, but we got probably, I'd guess, probably at least 50 pounds of pears to process and stuff today that we picked. So that's a huge blessing for our homestead to be able to have, the nice pears canned up, and also to make some pear sauce, which is just like applesauce, but you use pears instead. But we really enjoy it. We also really enjoy mixing pear sauce with applesauce. It's quite nice and stuff. But and pear wine is also good, but I already have a batch of that going. But yeah, so we have a whole bunch of pears to process over the next couple of days. But it's kind of funny because, like, how they say like nothing is actually truly free. So after we got stung, we got in the car to leave and all that stuff after getting all of our pears, I was like, well, babe, I guess you know what, like, these pears really weren't free. Like, it took all of us getting stung so that way we could get them. But yeah, so her forearm is pretty good and swollen. So she's a little uncomfortable, so I have to do a lot more help with the roosters than I normally do. We kind of have a unspoken agreement when it comes to butchering that she does all of the birds and I do all of the rabbits. We do usually end up butchering significantly more rabbits per year than we do birds, but I absolutely hate butchering birds. I don't like the feathers, the texture of the feathers, and they just like stick to your hands, and it's just, I really do not like butchering birds. I help with dispatching them and whatever she needs. And last time we butchered geese, she did cut her fingers, so I had to do the next one by myself. So I'm not inept at it, and I'm not incapable of doing it, but I really do not like butchering birds, which it all pans out because Tracy can't fillet fish very well, but I'm really good at it because my mom, she was really good at it, and she taught me when I was young how to do it. And I'm not very heavy-handed with a knife, and that's basically a requirement of filleting fish and stuff, especially small fish like bluegill. But yeah, so with some stuff like that, we do trade off on. But yeah, I do not like processing birds at all. So yeah, so that's about it for today. I did see Tracy coming down and stuff, and motioned in the woods that she's ready for me to come down and help get the next rooster and get it ready to go. So I'm going to cut this off right here. So if you guys are enjoying this content, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends on social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to help our channel grow. We greatly appreciate it. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.